Okay, so this evening we're going to tie a Pat's rubber leg, or a version of the Pat's rubber leg. It's actually a fairly simple fly to tie. I'm going to start with 140, UTC 140 black thread, and I'm going to start with 0.015 lead wire. What I do as a technique so that I don't waste a lot of wire is I grab the end of the wire with a pair of hackle pliers and I hold it as I start making wraps. That keeps it from sliding. I just go ahead and I'm going to make, depending on the size I'm tying, this can be tied up as high as about a size 4 and down to about a size 16. So I'm going to make about 10 or 12 wraps there. And I go ahead and break that off, helicopter that off. I'm going to remove my hackle pliers here, kind of push all those in together, get them all nice and tight, roll that tag end to end. I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to start behind the wire. I'm going to go ahead and, it's kind of fraying on me. Get that done. There you go. Go ahead and build up a little bit of a dam behind the wire there. Cut my tag end off. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start making some wraps up the wire to in front of the wire. I'm going to go ahead and secure it. Down there, make another dam, and then make some securing wraps on top of the wire, that lead wire. Bring my hook back to about the bend of the hook. I've already gone and cut two. I'm going to use these rubber legs, these barred rubber legs. I've already gone and cut two of them off. Go ahead and fold it in half and make a loop. And I want to measure that loop to be about the length of the hook shank. I'm going to come on in here. I'm going to tie that loop in the front. Bring my thread back up, there we go, and I'm going to make a soft pinch loop here and a couple of soft loops. You can then position the legs if they kind of twist on you a little bit. You want them on either side of the eye of the hook. I'm going to go ahead and make some wraps and I'm going to start working my way back. They twisted on me again. They're not wanting to play nice tonight on the video. Go ahead and start making some open spirals back to the bend of the hook. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to take some chenille. Colors basically match whatever's in there. And I take about a card width and a half. It's about more than enough. Try not to be wasteful of it. So I take a little section of that. And I'm going to strip the fibers off the end. Expose the cord. You can see I've exposed the little cord right there. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a soft little pinch wrap on top of that cord. Secure that. There we go. Go ahead and get that all good and tight and secured. And we're going to leave that there. I'm going to bring my thread forward, back up to the hook eye, and then I'm going to actually pull my bobbin down. Some people will actually at this point go ahead and tie the thread off and cut it, and they'll retie it in here in a later bit. I don't do that. Maybe I'm lazy, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead, at this point, you're going to need to prep some kind of a cement. Super glue, Zap-A-Gap, UV resin, whatever it is you want to use. Go ahead and get that ready. And if you're going to use UV resin, go ahead and get your light out, get it turned on, because you're going to be working with one hand here. So rather than tie each of these legs in individually, I'm going to show you a little trick. Sometimes it can get a little tricky, but I'm going to show you a trick on how to get them all in at the same time. So I go ahead and hold this one between my thumb and finger, and then I just go ahead and wrap it around with a little bit of light tension, and I make about 3 wraps getting around the thread here. Make about 3 wraps. Well, that's A little easier said than done. My fat little fingers are getting in the way. I'm going to go ahead and make about 3 wraps. Coming on around. Each time I'm holding it, I'm going to bring the thread back and I'm going to hold it in between my thumb and finger. Well, that wrap came undone. Lord help, I look like an amateur. Apologize to any of you who thought I was a professional. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to take a bodkin and I'm going to space these out. Even them out so they're kind of evenly spaced along the shank of the hook. Okay, there we go. Kind of work those around. There we go. Boom, ba-doom, doom. Yep. So I got the 3 of them in there. About where I want them. About like so. Well, I say that. There we go. Now I'm going to take my super glue and I'm going to run a little drop of super glue on top of each one of those legs. Okay. You can use UV resin or super glue. I like super glue. It tends to work well for me. You're going to have to give it a good, give it 15-20 seconds to let it dry when it's in there. So go ahead and just kind of hold it like that. You can blow on it if you want, turn a fan on it, blow it. There you go. I'm making it dry, right? So you're going to let that go, and then I'm going to let them go, and you can see it's actually going to hold those legs in place. Okay? Then you take your scissors. You can come down here and you can take these loops and you can pull them straight down if you want and go ahead and cut them. Okay? And then you're going to get your legs on the sides splayed out. You can kind of rearrange them a little bit if you need. And once down like this, you see how it's kind of down? Oh, that one came off a little bit. So you know what we're going to do? I'm going to show you a trick. We're going to fix that. We're going to take it as an individual. We're going to put it back where we want it. Just put another quick little drop of super glue right there. And then we're going to put that on top of it. And we're just going to let it sit for a second. I'm going to hold it and let it sit. It should dry. I'm going to put the lid back on the super glue because I'm notorious for getting it everywhere, on me included. Kind of hold that there for a few seconds. Let it dry. Blow on it if you want. Okay. Come on now, you can dry. And alright. So now those are the legs in place. Some recipes call for you to tie in each one of these legs individually. I found this is kind of an easy and quick way to do it. You're going to take your chenille, and then you're going to work it in between these legs. Okay, so go ahead and work it in between these legs here. Okay, see how I'm doing that? And you can actually now, you saw how some of them were pointing down. So how you wrap the chenille around them, you can actually play with the legs and get them to stick out the sides if you want in different ways. So here we go. I'm going to continue to wrap the chenille up the shank of the hook, working around these rubber legs here, gently kind of doing that. Go up over the top of this one, and then I'm going to come back in. Maybe I won't do that. Let's see how that works out. There you go. That'll work out okay. All right, so I stopped just behind the eye of the hook. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and shorten up my thread on my bobbin. Makes it a little easier for me. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of wraps right here. Did I bump it and get it out of focus? My cameraman is fussing at me. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of wraps here behind the hook eye, securing that chenille. Go ahead and kind of work on your rubber legs and position them as you want them. Okay, don't worry about the length, we'll trim those up later. We go ahead and take, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to cut off this little tag end of chenille. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping that down. I'm going to hold these legs back while I wrap this down. I'm going to pull these eyes back. Oop, jamming up the eye of the hook there a little bit. So I'm going to kind of push that chenille back. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to kind of make some wraps up under here on this eye, like so. Well, I say that, my thread's slipping. Alright, there we go. couple of turns up there. Underneath these rubber legs kind of helps a little bit. You're going to pull these rubber legs back up and forward. There we go. Make a couple more turns. I got a little bit of chenille here that I want to trim out. This fly can be tied with a bead head and lead weight, depending on the type of water you're going to fish it in. If you want it to sink faster, or if you need the bead head, just a little bit of a slightly different technique for attaching the rubber legs with a bead head. I'll probably cover that in a different video. Right now, this is the one we fish most of the time here. This color works well for us. This little brownish, kind of yellowish brown color. There you go. A little drop of head cement on UV resin on top of your thread wraps. Let that cure. Come in, I'm going to cut a thread. Now for these back legs, I usually try to keep them about the length of the hook shank. Just pull them together, go ahead and trim them. These side legs you can come together and you can trim, make them the size you want. There you go. This one's sticking up a little bit, kind of pull that one down. Got these down here. Come on, get this leg out. There you go. Pull these legs out here. Come in here, I'm going to kind of trim these a little bit. Then I'm going to pull this straight out front, trim it. You can trim those to length if you want. And then that is a Pat's rubber leg.